Hey, Bulls and Bears, it's Saturday, February 26th, 2022. Thank you for being here. Wanted to put this out today. It's going to be a little more of a laid back episode, but let's talk about what's been happening here. There's escalation happening over in Ukraine. This is only going to be inflationary as we're going to see oil get pushed higher and higher because Russia is one of the major suppliers of oil in the world. And the U.S., we're the number one consumer nation and the number one consumer of oil. We consume more oil than any other country. Even countries that have 4 times the population as the U.S., we consume more oil. That's the luxury when you have the world's reserve currency and when you have a fiat money machine behind it all. You can pump out money to the people. You can keep asset bubbles inflated and make the bubbles grow bigger and bigger and bigger. That creates the wealth effect. More people can borrow against their homes. You can liquefy the banks, and therefore banks can loan out endless amounts of money, and that gives more people more spending power. So, of course, we're the number one consumer nation because of all that. But there's talks of very, very big things happening. Sanctions against Russia. That's going to have, if that happens, that's going to be a major impact. Also, talks of kicking Russia out of the SWIFT banking system. That could have major impact. So we're seeing things happen that we have not seen in decades. As far as, for example, sanctions against a country the size of Russia, sanctions would be just something that is very going to cause a lot of turbulence, to say the least. So far, we've seen the markets being propped up. We haven't seen a significant drop. But when you look at all of the stocks, we're actually in bear market territory, not just the indexes, but, for example, the NASDAQ. If you look at the NASDAQ, 76% of stocks are down 20% or more from their all-time highs. So there's definitely some things happening. You may not notice it if you're just looking at the Dow Jones or the averages, but there's definitely some hints of some bear market ahead of us here. Now, what I try to stress here on this channel is that this is all manipulated. They can bring these markets up at the click of a mouse. They can bring these markets down at the click of a mouse. I don't know what they're going to do. This operation's all ran. These markets are all controlled just by a few people. And, we've laid that out here on this channel quite clearly. And I'll just say it again, about 90% of stocks are owned by the top 10%, right? So as you can see, the top 10%, they get together, they can move the markets. And also the people of the top 10%, they know what's going to happen before the average retail investor finds out. So they're connected to the money machine and they're close to the money machine. So, of course, they're going to get in and out before the big swings happen in the markets. All right, now actually, as I'm reading this, I just had some news pop up on my screen. The European Union and the U.S. agreed to expel Russia or Russian selected banks from the SWIFT system. Quote, we commit to ensuring that selected Russian banks are removed from the SWIFT messaging system. This system is used internationally, and it has millions of transactions per day. Basically, it's a communication system. Messaging system, and for Russia to get kicked out of that, or any of the banks get kicked out of that, that's pretty major. So we'll have to see what happens on Monday when the markets open up. Outside the markets, the cost of living continue to brace folks. Some good friends of ours went ahead and just bought a vehicle because they're afraid that vehicle prices may never come down. It's kind of a FOMO thing, fear of missing out. If you don't buy today and you look at something that you wish you would have bought 6 months from now, is it going to be 50% higher? Is it going to be 100% higher? So there's a lot of fear out there. A lot of people are making purchases based on that FOMO, that fear of missing out. The same thing in the housing market. Even though sales are down, there's a lot of people just getting monster loans. They actually had to increase the size of the mortgage that was going to be backed by the government because loans are just getting so enormous now with the average home price. And a lot of people just don't know what to do, buy now or pay more later. If there's some sort of a decline or collapse, and many of you on this channel are predicting that down in comments. People, some of you saying I'm wrong, that there's going to be a collapse, that the bear market has started. Well, I hope you're right. I prefer a collapse or decline versus the bubbles continuing to get bigger, right? So I hope I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'll be the first to admit it, and I'll be happy to admit if I'm wrong. If we see a market crash, I'll come on here with a big smile and I'll say I was wrong. The market crashed. But I don't think I'm wrong. I think they're going to continue to inflate to infinity. We're talking about the markets, the stock market, the housing market. They're going to keep the banks lending money. The banks are promised endless liquidity. It's not me saying that. The money machine actually came out and said that last year, and actually 2 years ago now, in 2020, before everything started hitting the fan, or slightly after everything started hitting the fan, the banks were promised unlimited liquidity. All right, so I go off what they say, but I also look at what they do. And so far, I'm not seeing any signs of the money machine being pulled back. In fact, with all the events happening over in Ukraine, a lot of people are saying now that they're not even going to raise rates because of the new threat to the economy. So we could continue to see record low interest rates and more QE to infinity. So hold on to your wallets. Everything's about ready to get a lot more expensive. As far as the sanctions and the SWIFT system, some of the banks being kicked off of that, it's going to be inflationary. Because what could happen, Russia could revolt, so to speak, and they could pull back on some of their oil shipments to the U.S. Who knows? Also, another recent article here, Russian military announces bigger advance in all sector as Zelensky vows Ukrainians will fight. So the war seems to be escalating. Some people are saying it's not a war. Some people are saying it's an invasion. Either way, people are losing their lives over there. Here in the United States, people are losing their lives here too. We have a big uptick in crime, not just retail thefts, but violent crime. There's a report here out of New York City. New York City is just a complete danger zone. Somebody that was breakdancing on the subway, somebody came and took their life. And it looks to be a deranged homeless person. Another report here. A lady in New York was pushed down the stairs. They took her purse, and she was very badly injured. She's in critical condition. A woman praying in church was robbed while she was praying in church. That's another recent one, I think New York or the New York area. So it's not just total crime has increased, it's the types of crimes. They just seem to get more strange and just more wicked by the day. And these are the good times. This is when record amounts of rescue programs have been pumped out to the people over the past couple years now. With the uncertainty happening over in Europe, almost $1 trillion was moved into gold just in the past 30 days. We have seen the price of gold climb a bit. I still think there's a lot of paper suppression with precious metals in general. But yeah, $1 trillion new investment into gold just in the past 30 days globally. All right, and let me wrap it up with this here. I actually have I'm lucky enough to be able to talk to several different YouTube channels that talk about the economy and finance, investing, the markets. When I first started this channel, I was actually going to be a channel that interviewed other people, and I've kept in contact with several different YouTubers. Many of them, some of them you may know that you may watch. If you watch me, there's a good chance you probably watch some of these other guys that I talk to, and everyone's pretty split. No one knows exactly what's going to happen because we know it's highly manipulated. But the consensus that we do have that we all agree on is that 2022, the rest of it's going to be a wild, wild year. And expect prices to continue to rise. We did start seeing inflation pick up back in 2016, 2017, 18 with all the tariffs that were going on, against Asian countries and China. And everything's just gotten worse and more expensive since then. So brace, keep stacking. Stay well. Thanks for being here for this report. Big love, people. Bye for now. Peace.